ne.gov. The first item of business, the new business, and Dan, do you want to read that or shall I?
However you want to handle it.
Why not, if you would read that in, please.
Okay, this is new business 1A is a resolution in a matter of county text amendment number 20008 to amend Article 13-048, sections G through J, and other amendments throughout Article 13-048 as necessary for harmonization and consistency of the Lancaster County zoning regulations regarding commercial wind energy conversion systems. The public hearing for this was held on February 11th, 2021.
Okay, thank you. I do believe I've told all the commissioners, I'll just make it clear to everyone this morning that the format we're going to follow is I'm going to read a brief intro, and I think I'll cover it, but I want to make sure everyone's aware. After that point, I will open it up so each of the commissioners may share their thoughts on the information we've received and the matter that is before it. We'll do that before we take any motions about the text amendment. Following the opportunity for commissioners to share, we will take motions and then vote. After we have a second, we will discuss those and then vote. My introduction remarks. This morning we will be voting on the proposed changes to text amendment 20008 relating to wind energy requirements. This morning's meeting is a continuation of a process that began in 2015 and has undergone revisions in 2018 and 2019. Before us are 4 items for consideration that we will decide what action the board wants to take. The text amendment will cover the entirety of Lancaster County. It is important to note that this does not directly authorize the building of any individual wind turbines, but will be the standard by which any special permits will be evaluated. Our vote today comes after receiving and reviewing hundreds of emails, numerous phone calls and text messages, and sitting through 5 hours of live testimony. The opinions shared are diverse and deeply held, as constituents from across the county have reached out to us to share their views, hopes, fears, and personal stories. Each one matters, and each one will be considered as we make this decision today. But given the great divide on this issue before us, there will be disappointment for some. A few points to note before we take statements by the commissioners. First, the public testimony ended at the end of the public hearing last Thursday. Any correspondence received since that time is not part of the public record and cannot be used in our testimony today. The emails we've received are being held by the clerk's office, but are separated from those received prior to the public hearing. Second, Commissioner Amundsen will not be with us today. After last Thursday's meeting, she left to go out of town, and due to weather conditions was unable to make it back. Since she cannot be here, she cannot vote on this matter. She has written a letter regarding her position, and I will read that into the record later. Before we make any motions, I want to offer each commissioner time to share their thoughts on what we've heard. After each of us have had time to share, I will entertain motions. The board has worked very hard to treat each other with great respect, knowing that each member takes their responsibilities very seriously, both their responsibility to represent their own district and to the county at large. I have no doubt that that same respect will guide our words and actions today. Who would like to begin?
I'll begin.
All right, Deb.
Just a collection of my thoughts over the past 7 years. I want to thank the constituents who have been so engaged. As Commissioner Vest mentioned, the emails, the phone calls, the in-person meetings, the studies, the research that you have done, the community meetings that you have held on your own. And I also want to apologize for how hard this has been on so many people, and particularly splitting families. That breaks my heart. It seems strange that we're talking about this when we look at the issues that are going on in Texas. I think that has told us that we need a diverse energy plan. We learned a lot about the ability to store energy. So there's been a lot of education that's gone on amongst the commissioners as well. I've said many times that I'm a supporter of green energy. I think anyone would say that. Is southern Lancaster County, with its higher density and high number of rural acreage developments, the right place? And I know this is a text amendment, but we know that this is the first of several steps. We've talked about visual pollution, we've talked about shadow flicker, we've talked about ultrasonic sound, swishing, endangerment to wildlife, implications on internet access. But to me, it's about the prosperity of the community and the reduction of quality of life issues and the possible reduction in property tax values. I tried to equate this whole path much like the CAFO that is proposed for southern Lancaster County, southeast. But with the CAFO, should technology change or business models change, or there be a new way to mass produce broiler chickens, whatever, all you do is just plow that building under, take it down, and put corn over the top. It's gone. With these, you can't. They're there forever, or at least the cost of nearing $1 million to take it down, and really no good disposal plan on where they're going. So I know this is a generational decision. The decision we make today will affect kids, grandkids, great-grandkids. And I do have a motion. In fact, I have a couple, but we'll defer to other commissioners.
I'll come back to you on
other
that.
commissioners for their comments.
I would like to let everyone else speak before we do that. So,
Yeah.
all right?
Sure.
Very good.
I don't usually write written remarks, but I did today, just to kind of keep my thoughts in order on it. I appreciate my fellow commissioners taking up this issue with me, and I want to thank everyone who testified at the Planning Commission hearing, the Lancaster County Board public hearing, or who participated in the debate via email or by phone. I want to especially thank the county staff for the work they've put into this. As everyone here knows, it's a matter that means a great deal to me. I absolutely agree this is a generational issue. My generation faces a litany of barriers not experienced by recent previous generations, the most daunting of which is the threat posed by global climate chaos. We've run out of time, and if we don't make meaningful change to replace fossil fuel generation with clean alternatives in the very near future, we are going to reap the devastating consequences of climate chaos. Wind generation is not the singular solution to climate change, but it is unquestionably part of the broader package of solutions and represents an opportunity both to improve our environment and to benefit our rural economy. This is a debate of landowner rights as much as one of environmental policy, and Lancaster County's farmers and landowners deserve the opportunity to make their property work for them. Wind power also represents a substantial opportunity for new property tax revenue for our schools, our rural fire departments, and our county infrastructure. The Lancaster County Board issued its public letter on November 10th, 2020, taking up the matter of county wind regulations. 71 days later, the Planning Commission held the first of two public hearings on January 20th, 2021. The planning staff publicly briefed the Lancaster County Board on January 28th, and on February 10th, the second public hearing was held here before the Lancaster County Board. The testimony presented has clarified and reaffirmed my opinion that Lancaster County needs to seize the opportunities afforded to our community by wind generation. It has now been 100 days since the Lancaster County Board issued our letter, and in that time, the Lincoln Electric System has adopted a 2040 carbon neutral goal. The University of Nebraska has adopted a 2050 carbon neutral goal. General Motors has adopted a 2035 goal to offer only electric motor vehicles. The United States of America has rejoined the Paris Climate Agreement, and the Lincoln Journal-Star editorial board declared that without action, Nebraska will be harmed by climate change. There should be no doubt where the moral arc of this issue leads. It would be a mistake to regulate this industry out of Lancaster County. We need clean energy alternatives if we are ever going to move off of fossil fuels. We need more revenue opportunities for the county to combat the mounting costs of our infrastructure crisis and the rising tide of our growing jail population. In Lancaster County farmers who are already pressed by high property taxes, unreliable international trade dynamics, and commodity prices that are lower today than they were a decade ago need new ways to make their land work for them. It would be a mistake to allow these opportunities to pass our community by. Shortly here, I plan to make a motion to amend the proposal to establish the setback distance at 3.5 times turbine height for non-participating residences, set the decibel limit at 42 decibels measured at the exterior wall of non-participating residences, and remove the 3-acre rule that is an anomaly in our county zoning regulations and, in my opinion, unfairly treats this industry different than any other in Lancaster County. I would remind everyone that at 42 decibels, our noise regulations would still be lower than all other counties in Nebraska, save one, and lower than the statewide regulations of South Dakota, North Dakota, Illinois, Wisconsin, Minnesota, and New York. I believe this proposal will offer non-participating residences quality of life setbacks and protection while still allowing our community to reap the benefits that wind energy development has to offer. I want to mention what is happening in Texas right now. There's a lot of misinformation happening regarding this situation. The director of, I actually have the quote right here, the director of ERCOT, the state Texas grid, stated that while ICE has forced some turbines to shut down, just as brutal cold waves drive record electricity demand, that's been the least significant factor in the blackouts, according to Dan Woodfin, the senior director of the Electric Reliability Council of Texas. 34 gigawatts of power were offline on February 15th. Only 4 of those was due to problems with wind turbines. There's no doubt that wind production was down because of cold temperatures. We know that. That's a known factor. But Dan Woodfin, senior director of ERCOT, stated that frozen gauges and instruments at natural gas, coal, and nuclear plants was what really cut into operations. The problems we faced with the cold undoubtedly have hurt all electrical generation systems, but to blame this on wind energy or to blame this solely on renewables is frankly just bad faith. We are at a place in our history where we need to make the energy transition, and Lancaster County cannot be left behind.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Krista?
Yeah, this is the kind of decision that will impact our county and our planet into future generations, as we've heard, and I do not take that lightly. I also want to say that the days when we do get to hear from the public are really my favorite days in this seat. This is democracy in action, and I appreciate all the engaged community members who testified and sent emails and made phone calls, both as proponents and in opposition to the changes to the text amendment. I've listened and I've read and I've added new information from community members to the bank of information that I already had regarding clean energy and specifically the use of wind energy. And I want to assure you all that I've checked and cross-referenced a lot of the sources that were sent to us, a lot of the links that were sent to us, because I wanted to be sure that we were looking at science-backed information and not relying only on opinion on either side of this issue. I've learned more about the issues that concerned me about wind energy, such as the current advancements in recycling of the blades and de-icing and maintenance of wind turbines. And while it was unfortunate to do this during the pandemic, I think that the period of time that we just heard Commissioner Flowerday outlay, the ability to hold the hearing, the ability to use Zoom technology allowed so many more people to participate than might have otherwise been able to connect with us. The catastrophic weather events of this past week only reinforced the need to move forward with clean and renewable energy sources and to quit adding to the man-made causes of climate change. Just as the chaos we've seen due to the extreme weather event causing too much demand on underperforming natural gas plants and coal generators in Texas, it is past time to diversify our energy sources and to relieve our reliance on fossil fuels.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. I do have the letter from Commissioner Amundson that I'll read at this time. This is from Roma. It is truly unfortunate that I cannot be present at the Board of Commissioner meeting to discuss Text Amendment 20008 regarding wind turbines in Lancaster County. Due to hazardous travel conditions brought about by severe weather, I cannot be there. Commissioner Vest, please extend my thanks to the hundreds of Lancaster County citizens who have either called me and/or sent text messages, emails, letters, scientific and newspaper articles, and videos regarding the question of wind turbines, both pro and con. I sincerely appreciate the time that farmers, acreage owners, urban dwellers, business and organizational leaders have taken to communicate with me. I also appreciate very much the number of citizens who signed petitions and testified in person, both pro and con. I believe I owe everyone a statement of my own thoughts regarding the question before you as deliberation begins. In my view, the chief discussion point is distilled down to that of land ownership. Land ownership is a privilege that is gained either by inheritance or purchase and is retained by hard work and careful management. Land ownership also brings with it both responsibilities and opportunities. Landowners have the right to enjoy and utilize their land as opportunities are presented, as long as this right does not impinge upon the right of other landowners to do precisely the same. Enjoyment and utilization of the land are relative terms defined according to personal perspective. The relativity of these definitions by differing parties in Lancaster County creates the debate facing the Board of Commissioners at this moment. Because I am not present to vote on the specifics of Text Amendment 20008, I will state in general terms my viewpoint. Know that I appreciate the value, rights, and responsibilities and opportunities of land ownership. I understand that wind energy presents an opportunity for landowners to choose to participate and to utilize their land for economic purposes that are both legal and lawful and recognized as a part of the entire energy grid. I am therefore supportive of modifying the text amendment in order to provide opportunities for landowners and wind energy in Lancaster County. Roma Amundson, Lancaster County Commissioner, District 4. I put together my own thoughts on this topic today that I'll read at this time. We have a difficult decision before us today. In a democracy, we elect leaders to make decisions on our behalf and in the best interest of our country, state, city, and in this case, county. Each of us sitting up here have spent countless hours in order to sit in these chairs and take this responsibility. From the beginning of my time on the county board, we have sought compromise, responsible, and reasonable solutions in order to move our county forward. From difficult budgeting choices to hard personnel decisions to determining the best ways to modernize county operations and make them more efficient for taxpayers, we have worked together, not always in agreement, but almost always in respect and consideration. On this specific issue of wind turbines, we have now discussed this topic 3 times. Each time the goal has been the same. We are looking for the best path forward to provide both economic opportunity to those who wish to participate while doing our utmost to protect those who do not want to be a part. There are many points to consider in a conversation of this magnitude and many groups of constituents to remember. We know that many, and I would say most in our county, welcome the development of wind energy. We have seen testimony from groups as diverse as the Nebraska Farmers Union, the Lincoln Chamber of Commerce, and the Sierra Club. We know there are businesses that are requiring green energy to run their facilities, and they provide jobs for our citizens. There are labor unions waiting for this building project to begin so their members can have employment. We have constituents that look at the future with great anxiety if we continue on the path of fossil fuels. And there are landowners strapped by a tax system that relies too heavily on property taxes who look forward to revenue streams to keep their farms successful. All these look forward to the development of wind energy in Lancaster County. And I would just say that before anyone suggests their voices do not count because many of them live within the city of Lincoln, I would remind everyone that these citizens pay taxes to Lancaster County as well. Every road that is maintained, every bridge that is replaced, every sheriff's deputy that is on duty are paid for by tax funds, 90% of which come from citizens living inside the city of Lincoln. Their voices matter in this. Those who oppose these changes deserve to be heard as well. Some may find themselves living in the midst of wind turbines that they receive no compensation for. The change in their environment would be readily obvious if the turbines are located in their area. The concern they feel is real about the future they face as with these possible changes. Their voices deserve to be heard and given appropriate consideration as well. I think of everyone who I've talked with about this topic, those who fear the future if changes are not made to the way we treat fossil fuel, and those who fear the disruption of their lives if wind turbines are located near them. Almost unfailingly, these have been good people, responsible citizens that see this issue from different perspectives. It's unfortunate, but I see no way that our vote today will not disappoint some of them. I would just interject at this point the balance. As everyone who knows me knows, I'm in the middle. Bruce and I say come to the middle. Not always an easy place to be, but that's where I live, that's where I operate from. And so in this situation, as we balance economic opportunity with personal protection, is there a place where we hit that balancing point? And that's what the board, I believe, is striving to do. If we set the standards too high, we remove economic opportunity. We have great protection, no opportunity. If we set the standards too low, we have possible opportunity, no protection. We are looking, in my opinion, looking for that place where they come together, where yes, and I know for some people, the only real answer they want is no wind turbines. I don't believe that's ever been the goal of the board, at least not during my time. But where we do allow possible opportunity for those who want and need it, the best protection we can involve for those who are going to be impacted by that economic opportunity. Today, we decide about the parameters of this text amendment to see if we can find that balance. Let me say this, whatever decisions we make today, this will be the final vote of this county board on this text amendment. Nobody's coming back here next year, as long as I'm on the board, and I think there's a lot of support for this, saying we will revisit the text amendment concerning wind issues. This is going to be the final voice on this subject. If any changes we make today result in a special permit, we will hear that special permit and consider it and the ramifications very carefully. If changes make today and no special permit follows, we will know that Lancaster County is not fit for the development of wind energy. One final note, I will share this, about the testimony of those of you who left your homes and came to talk to us or participated via Zoom. My grandfather was a big influence in my life, and he taught me how to love people and love their stories. The people who shared their stories, and I saw many impassioned people, and I thank you for sharing, being vulnerable and sharing your stories with us. You will live on in my heart, and I will remember you as we go forward in this process, wherever it goes. Those are my comments. Anything else before we move to motions? Very good, thank you all.
Well, sir, thank you.
At this time, I would move to motions. Deb, I believe you wanted to make a motion.
I do. In thinking about your words and the importance of protection, I'm going to move that we retain the 5 times the turbine height, as well as the decibels for 40 during the daytime and for 37 at night.
Okay, we have a motion to retain the setback as it is and the decibel level as it is currently. Do we have a second? Hearing none, the motion will fail without a second.
Mr. Chair, I have an amendment I would like to propose.
Yeah, do you want to read that into the record, Deb?
I will. One of the protections I was hoping to offer is for those people who have purchased property but do not yet have a residence. The protections with regards to turbine height and decibels are measured with regards to the wall of the property, and for those people who have not yet built a home, those protections are not there. So this refers to item H, which is proposed to be struck. I'd like to add this language, and I have been in consultation with the County Attorney's Office, Planning Department, and Building and Safety. Notwithstanding the provisions of sections G and I between February 18th, 2021 and August 18th, 2022, any non-participating property without a dwelling shall have no less than 3 acres of land outside of the noise and turbine height setbacks as provided in sections G and I. If by August 18th, 2022, a non-participating property without a dwelling has been issued a building permit and has received an approved foundation footing inspection from the City of Lincoln's Building and Safety Department, then such non-participating property shall be deemed to be a dwelling for purposes of calculating the noise and turbine height setbacks as provided in G and H. Now, those dates are in there now as a kind of a holding. But the point is to allow a period of time for those people who plan to build their dream home, to offer them the same protections as everyone else that is currently residing in their dwelling. I would graciously ask for a second for this motion.
Okay, so this is related to the 3 acres set aside on what is now vacant property. This would allow a period between now and August 18th for people to file a building permit and to get a foundation footing inspection from the City of Lincoln. If they conclude those 2 activities, they would be considered a dwelling.
Be considered a dwelling.
Any idea how much, and if you don't, I'm not trying to play catch you here, but any idea what a building permit costs?
I do believe Chad's here. He might be able to answer that.
Good morning.
Good morning. Chad Blaha, Building and Safety Department for the City of Lincoln.
Well, thank you for joining us, Chad. And the question before us that I asked was, what does it cost to get a building permit for a home?
Sure, and as with everything, it depends on the size of the valuation of the home, but in general, they can be anywhere from $400 to $700, $800.
Okay.
I can get specific data if you
No,
want to hear.
that's perfect, Chad. And then, would you know the cost of a foundation footing inspection?
That's part of the permit fee.
Oh, so they'd both be?
Yep.
They'd be.
It's all wrapped into one permit fee. The plan review fee and the inspections are all wrapped into the one cost.
And then if a person gets a building permit, is there an obligation on their part to build? I mean, just because I have a building permit, is there a time frame where I have made a commitment to build a house on that property?
The way we treat that, it's a good question, because we do get applications for permits that come down. A couple things can happen. They submit the application and plans. We have corrections that are required, and sometimes we don't hear back. And so those permits end up getting voided or expired, and so it's like they didn't happen. We also will get permits that are applied for, and they're good set of plans. They pay their fees and make the changes. They get issued, so now they're authorized to start work, and nothing happens. Those will end up getting expired. Typically, about 180 days is when we give people the time to do that.
Okay.
We've even had instances where folks have started construction and financial reasons, whatever happened, they don't finish. So those permits end up getting expired and you have an issue on the property. So is there an obligation to do it? We can't make them do it. We can't force them to do it.
Gotcha. You've answered my question very well. I was just trying to clarify, a person can file a permit. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it just doesn't, and then
Sure.
nothing happens.
I think the idea of putting that inspection requirement, an approved inspection, is a measure of demonstrating commitment to the project. 'Cause that would include, if they get that approved inspection, it would mean that they did they have the approved plans, did the excavation for the foundation, and poured the footings for the foundation, which I don't have the exact figures, but would represent a significant expense
I see.
and commitment.
So in order to get that inspection, they would have had to done excavating work and poured a basement?
In order to get an approved inspection, they can request an inspection at any time, and we can go out there, and if it's not there, we'll deny it, or if it's not sufficient, we deny it. But if they've done the work appropriately and the material's there, concrete's in place, then we can approve it.
I see. Okay.
So I have a question. So if someone has gone through this process and they've had the footing poured, and I am speaking from, there's a place in my neighborhood where there is a foundation sitting there. I've owned my house for 15 years and it has never been built on. What happens then? Is it just at some point maybe there would be a sale of that property and something would happen to it, or?
It doesn't happen often, but it's difficult to address.
Yeah.
You can't force somebody to finish it. We can try and make it as safe as possible. We can cause, if it's a deep foundation and you have a safety concern, we can cause fencing to be put up and lean it on and assess that back to the property. We can do a number of things. Bottom line is, if you have a property owner that's unwilling or unable to do something, it's difficult for the city to compel them to do it.
That's not the purpose of the permit anyway. Okay.
No, I just wondered how long it might sit in that state of.
Well, it sounds like it's up to the property owner. At that point,
Right.
the city, the governing authority has no, that's all I have for Chad. Anyone else have a question for Chad? Thank you, sir, for coming forward. Tell your boss that Rick Vest said you did a great job today, and you probably deserve a raise. So. All right.
This issue was, brought to me by a constituent, and I'm thinking that this is a handful. I mean, I'm not thinking, it's hard to tell when you look at the, map and the plats and, what's going to be retained as farmland and what's somebody's, dream home, 3 acre. It's hard to tell, but I don't think it's going to be the situation where they pour the footing and leave it. I mean, these people love this land. And I think that they deserve at least an ounce of protection as they plan their future. And with regards to the dates and in thinking it through, it might be best if the dates ran in conjunction with a specific project as opposed to this text amendment, but that could be open for discussion.
Okay. We do have a motion before us. Any further questions? I would entertain a second if anyone wants to make one. Hearing no second, that motion fails. Any other motions, Deb?
No.
Okay. And Commissioner Flowerday, I believe you wanted to make a motion.
I've got a motion. This is no surprise here. There's no new information in this. This is the motion. This is my amendment to please pass this around.
Pass it down.
To change the decibel level, to change the setback distance, and to remove the 3 acre rule as we've discussed. I'm going to make my motion to approve the Planning Commission proposal with this amendment incorporated in it. Did I say that correctly, County Attorney staff? They're nodding yes. Okay. All right. Should I go ahead and read this so that it is in the record? The simplest.
I would
Okay.
prefer it.
Sure. Happy
What
to.
do you think, Jen? I mean,
You want me to put it up here so people
Yeah,
can see?
that'd be
that'd
great.
be great.
good
That'd be
idea.
excellent. This is effectively the exact same language that I had at the public hearings that people could review it then. It's just gone through legal counsel review now, and it's been typed up nice and neat. So Section G states its setbacks to the turbine base. For the purposes of this section, turbine height shall be equal to hub height plus the rotor radius. Number 2, for non-participating lot, the setback shall be 2 times the turbine height measured to the property line, or 3 1/2 times the turbine height measured to the closest exterior wall of the dwelling unit, whichever is greater, but at a minimum 1,000 feet to the property line. Number 3, for participating dwelling units, the setback shall be 2 times the turbine height measured to the closest exterior wall of the dwelling. Number 4, the setback to any public right-of-way or private roadway shall be no less than the turbine height. Number 5, setbacks to the external boundary of the special permit area shall be no less than as stated above, except that the owner of the adjacent property may sign an agreement allowing that setback to be reduced to the rotor radius plus the setback of the zoning district. Section H. Noise. No CWECSs or combination of CWECSs turbines shall be located as to cause an exceedance of the following noise level standards. The noise level shall be measured to the closest exterior wall of any dwelling located on the property. If a turbine violates a noise standard on a dwelling constructed after the turbine is approved, then the turbine becomes a non-conforming use. Number 1, for non-participating properties, the noise level shall have a 42 dBA maximum 10-minute LEQ for all hours of the day and night, or a 3 dBA maximum 10-minute LEQ above the background level as determined by a pre-construction noise study. For number 2, for participating properties, the noise level shall have a 50 dBA maximum 10-minute LEQ for all hours of day and night. And then Section I, each application shall include a professional third-party pre-construction noise study, which includes all property within at least 1 mile of a tower support base and must be able to demonstrate compliance with the noise standards in paragraph I. The protocol and methodology for such studies shall be submitted to the Lincoln Lancaster County Health Department for review and approval. Such studies shall include noise modeling for all 4 seasons and include typical and worst-case scenarios for noise propagation. The complete results and full study report shall be submitted to the Lincoln Lancaster County Health Department for review and approval. I would note, too, that this draft has, I didn't read it because it's been removed. This has the 3-acre rule removed from it, so that should just be noted as well. So
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't see the 3-acre rule.
well, it's because we are removing it. It's a paragraph that has been removed.
Oh, I see.
I can
Okay.
I can read to you what it was.
No.
I have it here, but
What,
so.
just, if Jen, if you'd remind us what paragraph is being removed under this proposal?
Probably kind of hard to see because it's
And I
strike through.
But that's all right.
But essentially, it kind of it was what Deb's proposal was based off of. The turbines shall not impact a non-participating property, vacant or occupied of any size, to the extent that because of the location of turbines, the lot is left with less than 3 acres of land outside the CWECF setbacks in the noise impact area in section I below, unless they are part of an agreement with the CWECS owner and operator.
Okay. Okay, so paragraph H is removed, which would then make the noise paragraph,
makes it
paragraph H.
paragraph H, so that then becomes the new. So,
That clarifies
So-
it for me.
yep. So that is my motion explained.
I do just want to request, there are some cleanup in here. There's some words are referred to differently, like non-participating lot has a hyphen, sometimes it doesn't. There's some references in here, so since H is removed, one of the noise sections references I, but that needs to be corrected since the alignment is different now that we remove a section. So there's just some little bit of cleanup changes I'll need to make.
Okay.
Can I then just amend my motion to include the county attorney's revised cleanup typo changes?
Okay. All right. We have a motion for the changes that have been read into the record with the cleanup language done by the county attorney. Do we have a second?
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second for these changes. I would allow any commissioners to comment on the proposed changes before us at this time, if they'd like. They've been discussed at great length and from a variety of perspectives. And I know there are those who don't want any changes. There are those who would probably want more changes. We've heard all of those arguments before us, and I appreciate Commissioner Flowerday's attempt to minimize the changes. In particular, the 3.5 is what our planning department has proposed from the beginning. We varied off of that. That's a long story that we don't need to go back into, but we did move off of that. We are now returning to the under this proposal, we would be returning to the 3.5 standard proposed there. The 3-acre is a change, and the decibel level, which was proposed by our health department in 1995, which I did go back and watch that presentation.
2015.
2015, what I,
Okay.
okay, yeah, they bled, 2015, yeah. I did watch that presentation and saw the reasons why they put it there, but this proposal does change 37, 40 to 42. I think that's where we're at. Any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Yocum,
Yes.
Flowerday,
Yes.
Shore,
No.
Vest.
Yes,
Motion carries 3-1.
okay.
I move we adjourn.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. Please call the roll.
Flowerday,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Yocum,
Yes.
Vest.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
Thank you, everyone, for your time today.